So then we are back, 2026, a new year, and yeah, I'm hoping for big things this year. I really want to push my trading to the best it's ever been, obviously, and yeah, just get it to a really, really nice, consistent spot. And to be honest, the main thing is small, consistent profits. That's what I'm aiming for. You know, I'm not looking for these massive wins or these massive payouts. I just want small, consistent profits, slowly building up. Because I think that's much more effective than you trying to go for these big payouts or these big wins or these big RR trades. 1% payouts, 2%, whatever it is, just small, consistent profits. And I think they get overlooked a lot when in reality, these small, consistent profits start to build and build and build. And before you know it, it does turn into a really decent amount. But apart from payouts aside, I'm trying not to focus on the monetary side of things. The main thing that I want to focus on is my actual skill of trading and just getting my trading to a point where my strategy is completely refined and I'm just know exactly what I'm looking for each and every day. Don't get me wrong, I do already know that, but I just want to make it as consistent as possible. And just basically what I'm trying to say is just eliminate the silly mistakes, because that's obviously one of the big things that holds a lot of people back. And yeah, especially myself as well, just been making a few silly mistakes or getting too hung up on payouts and stuff like that. So 2026 is the year of getting my trading to the best possible standard, the most consistent standard, and yeah, just small consistent wins, and also just ultimately scaling my funding, and yeah, just trying to get as much funding as I possibly can and build from there really. So this Road to Six Figures in Funding series continues this year. And obviously that is still the aim, still trying to get 6 figures in funding, and I'm going to do my absolute best to achieve that. I'm not trying to put any pressure on it. I'm not trying to achieve it by the end of this month or by next month. Just like I say, try and be as consistent as I possibly can, eliminate silly mistakes, and yeah, just small wins, and try and build up that consistency and get to that 6 figures. So there is going to be a little switch up with the series, and that's only just that I'm going to be, instead of focusing on that 100k account I had, I've now got a few different 100k evaluations with Alpha Capital Group. So I'm going to be focused on all of them as a whole, rather than just the one. Otherwise, I could be stuck on the one evaluation, whereas the other 100k accounts I could have passed. So yeah, that's the only small difference. Just be doing it across all of the accounts, because then if I pass some, then obviously I'll be 6 figures in funding on one of them, maybe not the others. I'm not obviously going to necessarily pass all of them. But just to give you an actual update on the original 100k account that this series was based around, this is how it sits at the moment. As you can see, we had them first 2 losses last year, and then the next 3 trades that you can see on there have just been a bunch of break-evens pretty much. So yeah, that's how we are, still in drawdown on that account. However, I have actually had another 100k account with Alpha Capital Group. This was another phase 1 that I actually did manage to pass. This was only in a couple of trades, 4 trades, as you can see there. Nice win rate as well. So yeah, that was phase 1 passed on that one, and now obviously we're on phase 2. So we are making a bit of ground. Obviously that original account that I just showed you is still on phase 1 in a bit of drawdown, but we have managed to get a phase 1 passed of a different 100k account. And there's the certificate for that 100k Alpha Capital Group account as well. So if you've seen any of my TikToks or my Instagram videos, you will have seen that I have changed my chart colours as well to these neutral sort of colours. I know this is not some gay bullshit kind of, oh, these chart colours are going to make me so profitable. This is literally just, I want a bit of a switch up, and I've been looking at having these neutral colours for a while now, and I'm quite liking them so far. So this is what I'm going to stick with for a while now. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on these chart colours in the comments below. So a bit of an update on the challenge and how we're doing with the 100k accounts. Now, being honest, it's been a bit of a slow couple of weeks, to be fair. I haven't personally taken too many trades. Markets have been a little bit slow, especially during London session, which is when I trade. When you look at the chart and zoom out, it's been moving quite nicely. But if you look at just the London session, it's been very choppy for a lot of the week, especially last week. And then even like today, it's been just really slow and choppy. So I've taken a couple trades on the 100k accounts, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, not too many, to be fair. So yeah, I've probably missed out on a few as well. I definitely missed out on one yesterday. Spin you around, show you how the accounts are looking, show you what trades that we either missed yesterday or that we have taken. So this is our phase 2 100k account with Alpha Capital Group. Like you saw in the previous clips, I did pass the phase 1, so obviously on to phase 2 now. And this is how the account looks at the moment. Not ideal, but it's not too bad. I'm confident I can recover it and hopefully get it past. So we had a loss, a break even, and then a loss. This first loss was a 2% loss because I did risk 2%. However, on phase 2 accounts, I have just decided to stick with 1% risk. So phase 1, I'll do 2% risk, but phase 2, I'll do 1% risk. So yeah, that's how the account's looking now. In a bit of drawdown, but that's fine. I'm sure I can bring it back. Now we have got a bit of progress on one of the other accounts. As you can see, this is another 100k phase 1, and we're in 4.6k profit on this one now. There's a trade you can see there, 1 loss and 2 wins. So yeah, that one's looking good. And then like I say, hopefully we can get that phase 2 passed, and hopefully get this one passed as well and on to phase 2. That would be absolutely ideal. But yeah, we're not looking too bad, to be fair. And this is the trade that I took today that got me this win here, this profit. So this was on USD CHF. And I'll jump onto the 2-minute and break it down for you. So up here, we had a 5-minute break of structure to the downside here with this leg. Marked up my fib. And as you can see, we started retracing, pulling back up and into the fib level. Now we did drop around a little bit sideways, but ultimately this move came up, took out these highs, and this box is my 2-minute fair value gap. If I zoom in, you can see it there. Now that's what I was waiting for my entry, basically just waiting for price to come down, inverse that fair value gap, and then that's exactly where I entered. So entry there, stops just above the high, and then I was just targeting a 1 to 2 because this line here, this is Asia lows. So I didn't want to target a 1 to 3. I thought it could have been a bit too much. We could have got it, as you can see. However, like I said, because the previous session lows were here, I didn't want to risk it. And also there's a very likely chance that we could have taken these session lows and then reversed and gone back up. However, there was a really nice position as well on EU that I missed out on yesterday, which is very frustrating because I was waiting for it and looking for it. However, I was just setting up my live stream and just missed out by a few candles on taking that trade. So that was annoying, but for that trade, I'll break it down. But for that one, I'll jump into the computer so you can see my screen and see exactly what I would have taken. So on the charts then, and this is the day we was looking at, Wednesday here, we can see that the previous day on Tuesday, we had this very big move up. So I was anticipating some kind of pullback on this move. However, I was aware that obviously we had some untaken buy-side liquidity been there, and then also obviously Asia highs as well coming into the morning. So I was aware that we could see either side get taken and then a reversal to the other side. So not too worried about that at the moment anyway. Just looking at the lower time frames. So if I jump onto the 5-minute, so then looking on the 5-minute time frame here, we can see that price was sort of around the middle of the Asia range coming into the morning, and then we can see that price started to push down, and we did actually end up taking Asia lows that we had at the bottom here. So we took Asia lows, and then we started to reverse and push back up. Now from here, I was expecting one of two things, and that's either that we're gonna push up, break above this high, make a market structure shift, and then look to go long, or we're going to come back down, make a break of structure here, and then continue down a little bit lower before we then reverse and could possibly see Asia highs get taken and potential, higher up buy side liquidity. And as you can see, we carried on down and made a break of structure to the downside here. So we was then looking for shorts, and this is a nice 5-minute break of structure. And this 5-minute break of structure here is exactly what I'm looking for me to be able to move on to the next step of my strategy. Now this strategy is slightly different to my usual strategy, that being a sweep of Asia liquidity and then a reversal or continuation trade. This is still incorporating the fib and waiting for a retrace into a fib level. However, it's slightly different in terms of I'm waiting for a 5-minute break of structure, a pullback into the fib, and then the 2-minute IFVG. So like I said, after we had this 5-minute break of structure, I then took my fib from the swing high where the move originated from, which is obviously this high here, and then this bearish leg pushed down, made a break of structure, and then we stopped here and started to reverse. So my fib would have gone from this swing high down to this swing low here. Now, if I jump down onto the 2-minute, we can go into the next step, which would be looking for an entry, basically. Now, seeing as this is a break of structure trade and not a market structure shift trade, more often than not, break of structure trades, we can see them not come as deep into the fib. So if this was a market structure shift, I would normally expect a deeper retracement into at least the OTE level here before we then move away. However, seeing as it is a break of structure, price tapping the 50% is more than fine. I'm not looking for the OTE to necessarily be tapped into. So once I'm on the 2 minute, I'm literally just looking for my entry, and that is for price to at least have tapped one of the fib levels. So whether it's the 50 or the OTE, doesn't matter. I'm then waiting for a 2 minute fair value gap to be inversed. So as you can see, price come up, and on this leg up here, we don't have any sort of 2 minute gap at the moment. We then start chopping around a little bit, but then we push back up, and we can see we sweep a bit of liquidity that we've built up here. We sweep that really nicely with this wick, and then we have to look closely for this, but there is one just there. It's a very small, but it doesn't matter how small the gap is. As long as there is a gap there, it's still valid for me. So we have a small gap here. So from this candle here to that candle there, I'm sure we can all agree that although it's very, very small, there is a 2 minute gap there. So that was what I was looking at, and basically I was waiting for this exact thing to happen. And like I said, I missed out on this trade, and that's because I was just setting the stream up, and then when I did come back to the trade to have a look, see where price was, we was around these two candles here, and obviously we've already had this big bearish candle down, so it's too late. The trade's too far gone, and obviously I'm not going to be able to get an entry. But anyway, like I said, after we've had this 2 minute gap here, and this candle has come down and inversed the gap, obviously, most important thing, we need this candle to inverse it and close below. We can't just see a wick, we need it to close below to be a valid IFVG. So entry would have gone there. As soon as the candle closed, market execution, and then my stops would have been just above the high. So around there, and I know that's a very tight stop loss, only being 2.2 pips, but that's more than valid for the trade. So once we've got entry, we've got our stops in the right place, and then all I'm doing is targeting a 1 to 3, which would be exactly there. As you can see, price would have smacked that beautifully, but unfortunately, like I said, when I did look at the charts, we was around these two candles here, and price had obviously made this big bearish one. I was too far gone, and unfortunately, we wasn't able to get in on this position because we've already missed the main move, and there's no point trying to force an entry or trace trades that have already gone. So this was the setup, really, really nice. 5 minute break of structure, pull back into the fib, 2 minute inverse fair value gap. And that's, yeah, like I say, that's exactly what got me that phase 1 account passed of that 100K challenge. So yeah, on to phase 2 now. Like you saw, we're in a bit of drawdown, but I'm going to try bring it out. And I'm also going to try get the other Alpha Capital Group phase 1 accounts passed and into phase 2, and then hopefully get as many of them as I can passed and funded. And yeah, that's the aim. We want 6 figures in funding, and hopefully I'm going to get that. Yeah, obviously I'm not rushing anything. I'm not saying hopefully I'm going to get that by next week. But yeah, I'm just taking my time. Don't want to rush it too much, but obviously at the same time, the aim is to get funding as quick as possible, because you're not earning any money while you're on the evaluation phases. So hopefully we can get it passed sooner rather than later. But yeah, this is the exact sort of setups that I have been looking at and have been taking. And yeah, they've been working out really well for me. And the main reason why I've been taking these over my usual setups is because my usual setups haven't been presenting themselves as much. These have been really consistent, and it's still basically the same as my usual setup, but just with a little bit of tweaking. And yeah, I'm still looking at trading in their overall same direction. Just the entry is slightly different, but yeah, still pretty much the same, and it's been working out really nice. So yeah, that was the trade that we unfortunately missed out on Wednesday. But as you can see, a really, really nice setup.